throughout the campaign and even after it, people would come up to me and express their concerns about voter inconsistencies and irregularities, which they saw, in some cases having to do with very large numbers of people in certain states.
New report tonight about Trump's election commission. We are getting the first look at previously secret documents about this commission's goals. And we only have these files because the Trump administration just lost a court battle to keep them secret. It all began after the election when Trump met with a controversial voting official, Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, who came armed with some plans.
See that piece of paper? He's accidentally exposing the cameras there while posing with Trump.
In the digital era, however, it is best to use an envelope or a folder.
Many wondering what else was in those files. And thanks to an ACLU lawsuit, a judge just ordered their release. Trump set up the commission after falsely claiming millions of people committed voter fraud. Many critics said it was all a ploy to change the law and make it harder to vote in order to help Republicans. Now, that sounded sinister, but the commission was new, so there really wasn't much evidence yet. The new documents, though, show one of Kobach's goals was to change federal voting laws. And most of the other goals are totally redacted. So we have just a piece of this puzzle, and maybe a small piece, but it does show members of Trump's commission don't just want to study voting. Some of them want to change the law, and for some reason, they don't even want you to know about that. With me now is Dale Ho. He's director of the ACLU's Voting Rights Project, representing the plaintiff voters in this case. That's how we know about all of this. What is this, when we have this part, this level of redaction, your thoughts?
Well, it just goes to show how desperate they are to keep their plans from the public. We've said from the beginning that this commission is a sham, that it's a Trojan horse to try to create a narrative that's going to justify restrictions on voting, and I think these documents begin to show that that's the case.
How do you know whether this is just Chris Kobach's pet project, not that he's insignificant, versus something that the Trump administration has signed on to? Because, as you know, originally this was considered just kind of a theory, like, yeah, maybe this is all for voting changes, law changes, what your group has called suppression, or maybe not, because if you want to be open-minded and fair, they hadn't started working yet.
Well, you have to look at all the timing of these documents and the creation of the commission, right? The day after the election, Secretary Kobach emailed members of the Trump transition team and said, hey, I have some draft amendments to the National Voter Registration Act, the federal motor voter law, which is the only thing that's prevented him from implementing all of his voter suppression plans in Kansas. That's the day after the election. 2 weeks later, he meets with Trump during the transition to interview for, I guess, Homeland Security Secretary, and he's photographed with the infamous document in his hands, which make reference to the National Voter Registration Act and proof of citizenship. 2 weeks later, Trump starts tweeting, you know what, I didn't lose the popular vote. I actually won the popular vote once you subtract all of the supposed illegal votes. And then he sets up the commission and puts Kobach in charge of that commission.
Dale, you paint a picture. Stay with me. I want to also bring in for this discussion Kristen Clarke, who's the executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, an organization that has worked on voter protection and explicitly fought voter suppression of African-American voters since the Kennedy era. Your view of what the new documents and these new reports teach us?
These documents are most certainly a smoking gun. They make clear that the agenda for the Election Integrity Commission, led by Chris Kobach, is simply to lay the groundwork to support a campaign to promote voter suppression laws all across the country. We know that Chris Kobach has been a champion of proof of citizenship requirements, which is straight out of the voter suppression playbook. This is a requirement that would essentially require that ordinary Americans seeking to register to vote walk with their birth certificate or their passport in their back pocket and produce a photocopy and attach it to their voter registration form if they want to make it onto the rolls.
So do you look at it, Kristen, do you look at it as sort of a widespread birtherism?
Absolutely. I mean, Chris Kobach is somebody who is anti-immigrant. He has promoted and touted xenophobic policies throughout his career as Secretary of State in Kansas. And in Kansas, where he pushed this burdensome proof of citizenship requirement, 1 in 7 people in Kansas have had trouble registering to vote because of this. These documents, I think, make very clear that the agenda for this commission has been predetermined from the outset.
Right, I just want to give Dale one more chance, which is an important point. I should mention we invited Chris Kobach and several other members of the commission to come on today, either with either of you or alone. No one took us up on that. Dale, what do you want to say to the commission now that you feel you've exposed this?
I want to say that the jig is up. From the beginning, they've been saying we have no predetermined outcomes, no preordained policy goals, but we know now. These documents show you, we see you. We know exactly what it is that you've been trying to do, which is to take Chris Kobach's voter suppression experiment from Kansas, which, as Kristen said, has stopped 1 out of 7 people from registering to vote in that state who've applied to register to vote. They want to take those plans national. That's been the game plan from the beginning.
Right. Dale, you and your organization have taught people something. And Kristen, I know you've been on this battle for a long time. Thank you both.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.